In this video we're going to look at differentiating the sine function graphically. We're going to use the same setup we used in the previous videos when we looked at the inverse functions. So in this instance here we're looking at differentiating the sine function. So the sine function goes from angle to length. So we look at the sine of this angle here is going to give us the length here. So we're going to differentiate sine theta with respect to theta, and we can write it in this form here. So we're going to have the sine of theta. So if theta is this angle here, the sine of theta is this length. And then we're going to have sine of theta plus some small angle delta theta. So here is a small angle delta theta, and whenever we find the sine of theta plus delta theta, we're going to get the line in orange here. So whenever we subtract both of these off, this line here from this line here, we're going to get the small line here. Now what we'll do is we'll redraw this triangle and we'll just draw it over here. So let's do that now. So you can see now that this triangle here is just the same as this triangle. So let's get rid of this one for the moment. It's just cluttering things up. And we can see here from our similar triangles, we had the angle here is theta. That means that the angle here is theta as well. And the angle up here was theta. So if this angle here is theta, and we've got this triangle here, this angle here is just the angle of theta as well. So it means that whenever we find this limit here, we're going to have the limit as delta theta tends towards 0, and it's going to be this distance. But this distance here is just this distance here, and this is the angle of theta. So it means that we can write this distance here is just going to be the cosine of this angle. So this distance is going to be delta theta cos of theta. So take your time and make sure you can see where that comes from. So we're taking then the limit as delta theta tends to 0 over delta theta cos theta all upon delta theta. And remember, this value here for theta doesn't actually equal 0, it just tends towards 0. So this whole limit just tends towards cos of theta. So when we differentiate sine theta, we get the cos theta. And it can be seen very simply from this little triangle, and this little triangle tends towards, or is similar to the large triangle, as the angle theta here tends towards 0. Because as the angle tends towards 0, we have the tangent line here in pink will tend towards the white line here. So that's a simple derivation of the derivative of the sine of theta.